Hello, welcome to the Mythology Manifest. I've been looking forward to doing this video as it's on Japanese mythology, which is the latest mythology to pique my interest. I've only just started reading into these tales with the help of this book, Epic Tales, Japanese Myths and Tales. So really, I'm learning alongside you guys with these videos, and I will probably do a video on each new myth that I learn. Today's video is going to be on the creation story in Japanese mythology, focusing on the two deities known by the names of Izanagi and Izanami. I hope you enjoy it. So the name Izanagi means he who invites, meaning he was the male deity, and Izanami means she who invites, meaning that she was a goddess. Their story begins on a floating bridge in heaven, and both were wondering if there was a world beneath heaven. To find out, they thrust a jewel spear through the heavens and found the ocean. They raised the spear a little, and the water dripped off it and hardened to create the island of Onogoro-jima, which means spontaneously congeal island. Seeing there was a world which needed creating below them, Izanagi and Izanami flew down. Upon arrival to the mortal world, the deities decided that they wished to be married, and so set up a pillar to be married at. Izanagi circled it one way, and Izanami the other. When they met in the middle, Izanami said, "How delightful, I have met with a lovely youth." And with that, the pair were married. Shortly after that, they had their first child, Hiruko. In English, this means leech child, and Hiruko was deformed, far from the perfection that the gods expected, and so they abandoned him in a reed boat, and consulted with the other gods on why Hiruko had looked that way. The other god revealed that it was because Izanami, who was a woman, had spoken first in the wedding ritual, and that if they did not redo the wedding correctly, with Izanagi speaking first, all of their children would look as Hiruko had. So they did it again. They walked in circles around the pillar, and this time Izanagi spoke first, saying, "How delightful, I have met a lovely young maiden." And so they were married a second time, correctly, with a male speaking first. After the second marriage, Izanagi and Izanami had many more children. These ones were to the standards of the gods, unlike Hiruko. Their first child was a daughter, who they named Amaterasu. She was sometimes known as she who shines in the heavens, and because of her immense glowing beauty, Izanagi and Izanami sent her up the ladder to heaven, where she took her place as goddess of the sun and most powerful deity in Japan. She actually became central to the Shinto religion, and it is from her that Japanese nobility claims descent and claims their divine right to rule. After Amaterasu, Izanagi and Izanami had a son called Tsukiyumi, and he matched his sister in beauty, only where she was bright and golden, he was shimmering and silver, and so he became the god of the moon, and climbed the ladder up to heaven as well. When he reached heaven, he and Amaterasu instantly disliked each other, and quarrelled, and so Izanagi and Izanami separated them, thus creating day and night. The next child of Izanagi and Izanami was another boy by the name of Susanoo, the god of storms, and he was forever crying and wailing, so it wasn't a surprise that most of his family found him irritating, and Amaterasu actually despised him, but I'll go into that in another video in the future. Izanagi and Izanami had many more children, and created the rest of the Japanese islands before having their final child, Kagutsuchi, the god of fire. Whilst birthing this child, Izanami was badly burned, and she died of her wounds, and her soul and body retreated to Yomi, which was the land of the dead and the Japanese underworld. Unable to live without his wife, Izanagi decided to venture to Yomi to be with his wife's soul. When he arrived, he was greeted by the soul of Izanami, who was pleased to see him, but requested that he leave. She said that she was about to lay her body to rest, and she wanted him to remember her as she was. She said that she could not leave with him as she had already eaten the foods of Yomi, and so by law she could not leave. Izanami begged Izanagi to leave, and not look upon her body in the light, but his curiosity got the better of him, and he moved to see her body, and was horrified by what he saw. Izanami's body was infested with maggots, and was rotting, and 8 thunder gods had begun to feast on her body. Izanami was furious and devastated that her husband had seen her body that way, and she believed he would never look at her in the same way again. And so she sent the Yomi no Kuni, the ugly woman of the underworld, to chase Izanagi far from the underworld. To distract the Yomi no Kuni, Izanagi threw down his headdress, and the woman stopped to admire it, allowing Izanagi to escape and seal Yomi closed with a rock, breaking his union with Izanami. After that, Izanami bathed in the ocean to cleanse himself of his trip to Yomi and from the horrors that he had seen. In the Shinto religion, Izanagi's bath is regarded as the founding of Hare, the most important ritual of purification practices in Shinto. After this, Izanagi built himself a home of gloom in the island of Ahaji, where he remained for the rest of eternity, allowing his children to rule the world he and Izanami had created together. And that is the Japanese myth of creation and the story of Izanagi and Izanami. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment or subscribe. And please do let me know what you thought of this video and if you would like to hear more Japanese myths, either in the comments or on Twitter, which there is a link to in the description below. This video will be going in the Japanese Mythology Manifest playlist, so feel free to check that out as well as my other playlist and share it with people that you know love mythology. Thanks for watching. Let's keep classics alive. I will see you next time on the Mythology Manifest.